This is the fourth part of the 6-video mini-series of Ribble Ride's bikepacking trip to Italy. This year we visit Tuscany, starting in Florence, which is in northern Italy. Tuscany is almost all hills and mountains. An estimated 65% of Tuscany is comprised of hills, while another 25% is mountainous. I certainly notice this. Tuscany covers an area of about 23,000 square kilometres or 9,000 square miles, which is very similar to that of Israel. However, its population is 3 times smaller than Israel's. Tuscany is famous globally for many of its wines, including Chianti, which is the area we rode through in part 1. However, today's video was brought to us by the grape Sangiovese. Tuscany is one of the most prosperous agricultural regions in Italy, specialising in cereals, especially wheat, olives and olive oil, plus of course wines. Due to the endless hills and the day off in Siena, we were behind on our schedule, and so we decided to take the train to Pisa. The hardest bit of train travel is getting bikes up and down lifts. Italia bought a job lot of very small lifts for their nationwide stations, it seems. On the plus side, I'm always impressed with Italian trains. Last year I took an intercity train and they had half of one carriage dedicated to bike storage. This time we took local trains, but even these had good bike storage areas. I'd been to Pisa before, but when I was young, which was in the last millennium. However, all I remembered was the Leaning Tower. It was lovely to return and see so many other beautiful parts of the city. This is the only city we visit in the mini-series that is coastal, albeit a few miles inland. Its development was financed from its time as a maritime republic. The name Pisa comes from the Etruscan for mouth, as it lies at the mouth of the river Arno. Archaeologists have found a tomb from 2,500 years ago of an Etruscan prince, which highlighted the city's role in the Mediterranean's maritime trade of that era. Ancient Rome authors referred to Pisa as an old city. One even stated that the city was founded almost 4,000 years ago. Piazza dei Miracoli, or Square of Miracles, which is formerly known as Piazza del Duomo, or Cathedral Square, is an 8.9 hectare, 21.9 acre compound in central Pisa. It's an important centre of European medieval art and was once owned by the Catholic Church. The Baptistry of San Giovanni was constructed from 1152 to 1180. As its name suggests, this is where baptisms are performed. It has a circumference of 107.24 metres or 352 feet, walls that are 2.63 metres or 8.6 feet thick, and a height of 54.86 metres or 180 feet. It's the largest baptistry in Italy. It has red tiles facing the sea, although you'll need good binoculars to actually see the sea, and lead sheets on the east. The baptistry roof has a double dome, giving it exceptional acoustics. Every 30 minutes, the attendant gives a brief demonstration by singing a few notes and letting the sound reverberate. Unfortunately, this wasn't happening when I visited, probably due to the restoration work. Camposanto was founded in 1277 to accommodate the graves that until then were scattered all around the cathedral. Archbishop Federico Visconti wanted the building to be a large and dignified, secluded and enclosed place. During the 1300s, the inner walls were painted with scenes about life and death, Dante's comedy, Pisan saints and stories from the Old Testament. In 1063, Pisa's fleet had just defeated the Saracens in Palermo, and the spoils of this conflict provided the funds to start building the cathedral. At the time, Pisa was one of the superpowers of the Mediterranean and needed a cathedral that would match its power. The architect Buscetto combined Eastern architecture, Byzantine features and Lombard decoration to create a new style called Pisan Romanesque, a style that expanded from here to many parts of the Pisan control. Enlarged in 1118, it was the biggest cathedral in Europe for almost a century. The black and white alternation of marble is an Islamic feature, while the blind arches are a Lombard design. The elliptical dome, added in 1380, was inspired by the Moors and was the first of its kind in Europe. Inside the cathedral there are striped columns and a great deal of gold decoration. The spatial division is similar to that of Islamic mosques and Byzantine churches, with the columns and the matronio or women's gallery, while the golden ceiling was added during Medici's rule in the 1500s. The original wooden ceiling was destroyed by a fire in 1566. The marble pulpit was a concept of medieval sculpture. The figures are detached from the background and seem to step out of the frame. With a precise calculation of light and shadow, chiaroscuro effect, the artist created a real feeling of drama. Giovanni Pisano has been called the first modern sculptor by Henry Moore and mixes French Gothic with classical influences. These scenes from the New Testament would have been particularly impressive at the time, showing realistic physicality and dramatic poses. No trip to Pisa is complete without visiting the 56-metre, 180-foot tall Leaning Tower. Construction started in 1173 and within 5 years it started to tilt. It became notable as workers built the second floor. The tilt was caused by shallow foundations of 3 metres or 10 feet and unstable subsoil. I'm guessing that the contractor didn't do proper geotechnical studies and didn't send the core samples to an accredited laboratory. Sorting out the liquidated damages must have been fun. But I guess in the days before geotech engineering and endless lawyers, things were just a bit different. Engineers working on the tower in later years built upper floors with one side shorter than the other to compensate. This means that the structure is curved as well as tilting. Work was slow and sometimes abandoned for decades, as Pisa was often at war with nearby Florence, Genoa and other states. The tower was completed in 1372. Attempts were made throughout the tower's history to correct the tilt. Some of them made the problem worse, and by the 1990s there were fears the tower would collapse altogether. I first visited around that time and the tower was closed to visitors. The Italian government appointed a committee of 13 experts, which eventually enabled the tower to be reopened. The tower's lean has been reduced by about half a degree. Engineers drilled inclined holes on the north side and removed small amounts of soil. The tower leans to the south. They also dug drains to enable water to flow away because the water table is higher on the north than the south. The tower straightened itself by 38 centimetres after the work was done and has continued to straighten since. It reopened to the public in 2001. It's believed the tower is safe for another 200 years. Alla fine della giornata abbiamo parlato per pochi chilometri fino alla costa dove ci accamperemo per la notte. Il percorso ci ha portato lungo una vecchia tranvia. Abbiamo potuto goderci splendidi tramonti sul mar Mediterraneo. Per favore, unitevi a me la prossima settimana quando ci trasferiremo a Vinci, il luogo di nascita di Leonardo. Se ti è piaciuto il video, fai clic sul pulsante mi piace e per assicurarti di non perdere mai più un video sul pulsante iscriviti e campanella. Grazie e buona settimana.